that are white collar, laid back, I work from home jobs. No, these are HVAC technicians. These are apprenticeships programs for plumbing, for drywall, for carpentry, for construction, for low voltage to electric, to lawn care, maintenance, and lawn service, things that require a license and certifications in order to do it. Companies are giving $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 sign-on bonuses for people that take the job, and men, you guys aren't feeling it. Why are you not feeling it? Because you've been told for the last 30 years, and you've heard over the last 15 years or 18 years, that going to college is the only way to achieve the American dream. Deliver me from that, because I know people who have been technicians for 40 years, who have two homes in their home state. They have a home on the beach in Florida. They got property overseas, and they got boats because they work with their hands for 40 years. And they got things like a base pay, they join unions, they got overtime, they have a fully funded retirement and or a pension. And so as things went up, they didn't creep up their lifestyle. It wasn't highfalutin. It wasn't hoity-toity, the stuff that y'all really like. So 3.5 million jobs unopened, trade. So military, trade. The third is going to be college. And college has to be for a reason. What high-value skill are you going to college to learn about? In the 2000s, they said, go to college to learn about yourself. That is the most expensive therapy session that you'll ever endure. But then what you end up finding is that when you go to college, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, I want to be an architect, I want to be a nurse, I want to be computer science, engineering, business. What did I miss? I know you're going to social work, counseling. Those are high value skills that the market will continue to need, because what I just talked about, military, trade, and those jobs are required for a society to move forward. All the rest of the stuff is fluff. Advertising, I've done it. PR, I've done it. Graphic design, I tried. Coding, I've tried. You really need engineers. And social sciences and all of these therapists, those are all luxuries. They don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you. Hey, wing chop, drop top. Yep, I know hip hop. Shout out. Welcome to another episode. I had to do this one real quick while I had a little break before I close out the day strong, because it's worthy of discussion. So if you have not, make sure you hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, like this video, like 2 other videos, and buy the book. Who am I? I am Glenn. I am the author. I'm the host. I am the creator of How to Get Great Dating Outcomes in a Modern World. I want you guys to get better dating outcomes because you suck at it. Sorry, that's what the data says, not my opinion, but my opinion is matching the data. But I wanted to talk a little bit about income, because when we talk about here at TMG, the income that it takes for a man to have a family and raise that family comfortably, it's not anecdotal. We say that high value men, so men who want to identify as high value, one, have to be older. It takes time to get there, but you should have averaged $12,500 as at the time of this recording per month for the last 5 to 10 years consistently. No, we don't take out the best. We take out the best year and the worst year, and that's the average. That's where you need to be. And the reason that you need to be there is because you have had financial discipline around those dollars, and you make those dollars move with a purpose. If you're not there, you can't have a conversation about being high value. Just what I say. So Don't shoot me, shoot the messenger. Let me move this video because y'all supposed to be here. Turn off that. Let me move that guy over there so everybody there know what they are doing. Now my kids talk. So why am I doing this? Glad you asked. I am a 20-year executive in the security space. I've coached and managed and scaled large inside outside sales and field marketing groups, and I've seen consistent themes around relationship failures the more professional success you've had. So I wanted to understand why. I talk about it in my book. As I was doing coaching as an employer with employees, I started coaching around the total or the whole man and woman. And every time we got into a coaching session, after we went over numbers and process, we started talking about life. And the life was the most impactful thing that we could discuss. So I'm not a life coach. I'm not a brand coach. I'm not a preacher pastor, although I am a Christian. And I believe in the blood of the Jesus Christ. So if you don't like any of that, thank you for staying as long as you did. I think you're 3 minutes in. Thank you. But if you want to learn more, stick with us. Now, what we talk about here on income, say that's high value. The majority of men in the dating market are going to fall into modern. Why do they fall into modern? Glad you asked. Because modern men understand the 50-50 proposition of women. Since the beginning of time, men do things for women. Can't debate me on it. This is why so many women, you are frustrated in the marketplace because men ain't doing what they used to do for y'all. That's not a me issue, that's a system or a society issue. Let me put my glasses on so I can see. I can't even see nothing. Let me try to pretend like I'm young and hip like y'all. Bet. Dab. We did a poll. It was probably two years ago now. We said, it was one of our first posts. I need to go find it. It might not be. It was on Facebook, so it might not be. I hate Facebook now, except for this. But thank you for joining. How much money does it take for you to run a household? And by far, the women all said $100,000. The men were in the 40s, 60, 80, 90 would be nice. And then you had some men who were high achievers who were like, oh, I need 150. But by and large, women want more resources, more income from their man in order to move their household and family along. Why is this stuff important? Because what we need to understand is, what's the truth behind the truth? We want to know, what is the average or the median household income in the United States? In 2023, it was $80,000 a year. So a family of four, household income, 80,000. So I believe as we look at real household income, median income, was 74.5. That's the number that you probably see on a lot of videos like this or that supplement this. But it's a 2.3 decrease from 2021. Why does that matter? 2020, the world shut down for COVID. 2021, companies started overhiring to meet their new demand, pent up demand. And then 2022, we started to see things right size. And then 2024 is here. Over half of Americans had a household income less than 75,000. Asian Americans have the highest median household income of 112,000. Black or African American earners have the lowest at 56,000. The median household income varies by city, California having the highest, far Texas having the lowest. Income inequality in the United States has decreased slightly since the end of the Great Recession, but has become more unequal since 1980. Let's go to Statistica, distribution of household income. So when people start saying that people just get online and talk, we use data. We're data driven. Percentage distribution of household income in the United States in 2023. So don't tell me that household income doesn't matter, because where you all want to be, you're 17%. And then where the rest of you are 9.5%. And then 200 and over is 14%. So ladies, This is what you're feeling the market should be for men. Because through a modern woman's lens, a modern man should be making the same or better than what she makes. That's the 50-50 proposition. She's not going to do it all. She will split up the responsibilities and give you half. She ain't giving you a full day's worth of work. So when you take a look at that, we have to preface it with our friends at CNBC Fair Use, why $100,000 salary cannot and can't buy the American dream. This is interesting. Without further delay, let's react.
They would need at least $100,000 a year to be financially comfortable.
The benchmark of a six-figure salary used to be the gold standard income. It represented the tipping point of finally earning a disposable income and building a savings, spending based on your wants, not just your needs.
The American dream is what makes a middle-class lifestyle. You're able to pay your bills. You're able to put food on the table, put a roof over your family's head, and you have some additional savings.
Now, people making well over six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck. What used to symbolize financial freedom is now keeping people stressed about making ends meet.
26% say they would need more. A salary in the range of $100,000 to $149,000 per year would make them feel financially comfortable.
I think unfortunately what has happened is that wages haven't kept up with the cost of living by and large for the last 50 years or so. And so it becomes increasingly hard for many families to be able to attain that sort of middle-class lifestyle, that American dream.
How much you need to feel financially secure varies so much depending on not only your geographical location, but of course your lifestyle. It used to be that a six-figure salary was like the gold standard, but nowadays that may not be enough to make ends meet in certain parts of the country, especially like New York or San Francisco, where it costs so much more just to cover.
Who wants to live there?
Your daily expenses.
Here's why a $100,000 household income no longer buys the American dream.
All right, you've been to our channel. You know what we do next.
Go banking rates.
What we always do is we freeze frame on the table of contents, the video table of contents, because we want to break down line by line what you're actually experiencing. So CNBC wants you guys to feel like you're a victim of something. You're not. Just like we say here, your relationship outcome is 100% within your control. Just like your relationship outcome, your financial outcome is 100% in your control. Deliver me from the traditional narrative around victimhood. It's not going to happen over here. You are supposed to, men, evaluate the market, build a high value skill, meet the needs of that market, profit with integrity, and scale. So if you're not following those steps in that process, you thinking that making $100,000 a year in a salary is going to make your life comfortable is a you problem. Inflation is at 7%. You get a 3% raise. In 1 year, you're losing money. I don't know if anyone's broken it down for you like that. And let's just say inflation is 5%. You got a 3% raise. You're losing 2% of spending power year over year. Then the next year, if you only get another 3%, so you're 3%, you did 3%, that's your new base. And then you did, it's not 6, it's incremental 3. And then inflation goes up 5 again, 7 again, 11 again. What the wealthy do is they have investments that beat inflation. So they have a stock portfolio of $1.5 million. And I know you guys, oh, I don't have $1.5 million. It's not that hard to get in 20 years, guys, in America. Not that hard. $1.5 million, it is getting a 10% annualized return. So every year, you know that you have $150,000 to spend. And then the next year, inflation hits at 3. So now I need a 13% return on my money. I'm going to take out another 150. Then I may say I need 140. Then I may say, oh, I only need 130. Then I may say, oh, I may need 2. But what you never want to do is touch the premium, and you want your investment to always outpace what your inflationary rate is. We're not talking about salaries and wages, guys, because what you guys need to be delivered from is the fact that your job owes you more money this year. They don't. They're paying you a fair market rate. Otherwise, go out, look and see what's in the market, and then see what you're worth. Your worth is what someone will pay you, not what you believe or what you declare or decree. So, cost of living, rising consumer debt, changing American dream. This is going to be interesting. I hope they go where I want them to go. Cost of living. So, cost of living, or is not the phrase I want to use. Remember the term lifestyle creep.
Analyzed how much a family of 2 adults and 2 children would need in each state to own a home, a car, and a pet, as well as have an additional 20% of their income for savings and 30% for discretionary spending.
The core of what the American dream means is some amount of economic security, that you feel like you can get by and do a bit better. Maybe do better than your parents, maybe be able to afford
Spending.
The core.
That budget's off. Let me tell you how we do it at the church. 10% to Jesus. 15% to retirement, 15% to education savings, 10% to savings, and you live off the rest. So the 50-50 split is right, but you got to take the savings down. The savings is going to go, you don't get discretionary spending. Discretionary spending tells me you have no plan. You don't know what your dollar's going out the door means. So that means you work for your money and you're never going to get quote ahead. But discretionary spending should not be at 30%. Your household budget should be at 50% of your total take home. I know. 10% goes to tithes and offering. 10% goes towards savings for emergency fund, short term. And if you got your fully funded emergency fund, which is 6 months of total expenditures of that 50% bar, you're good. 15% goes to retirement and 15% goes to education savings if you have children, if you're a family of 4. You're not working with those economics or working towards getting towards those economics by making sacrifices today, you're losing. You don't have to change anything else. You don't have to change jobs. All you have to do is get your spending under control. I know this is a relationship channel, but I'm tired of y'all talking about this stuff like y'all experts and like what y'all want from a family. Y'all don't even have families. We have families, me and my friends, we all have families, and we're all running these same plays. So the budget's off. That's the first thing I noticed. Let's look at the state. How much it costs to achieve the American dream.
Require more than.
Woo, child. Let's lean in on this one. So the most expensive. But wait a minute. So the American dream is spending. Guys, if the American dream is 30% discretionary spending and 20% to savings, you're never going to reach it. That's not even a realistic goal. You're aiming at a target that doesn't really exist for you. This is not 1984.
Than a $100,000 annual income, with 38 states needing more than $140,000. The most affordable states, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Kentucky, need between $109,000 and $117,000. The median income for a household of 4 people in each of those states in 2022 was between $71,000 and $80,000.
This is why y'all feeling stressed. No one's broken it down for you like this. Shout out to Mississippi. Razorback State, Bluegrass, Magnolia. Didn't think I knew that stuff, did you? Required income to live comfortably of a family of 4, but then you see the median income. I don't even have to go any further. I know what the answer is going to be to the question, how are families surviving? Debt. Guys, the system is designed to keep you in perpetual debt. Remember the people, the wealthy that I told you that are getting interest off of their money and their investment? They're happy when the interest rates are 7%, 12%, 13%, because their CDs, their annuities, and their expense accounts are all going up. Everything's going up. Their brokerage accounts, are going up. But you're sitting here with a required income in the state of Mississippi, God deliver me, of 110, and you make 75. And based on the data we showed at the beginning of the video, you're really at 74. You're lucky if you're at 80. So you have a $20,000 hole. And I know you're not working working another part-time job like back in the day. So you're probably DoorDashing or Ubering, which is raising your expenses elsewhere. Man, it's not hard.
$7,000. Hawaii, California, and Massachusetts are the most expensive. Each requires an annual income of more than $240,000. The median income for a family of four in those three states in 2022 fell at least $94,000 short of what's required for the American dream. A different analysis from EPI found that in about 80% of the country, a family of four can afford their basic needs on less than $100,000 per year. Those include things such as housing, food, transportation, healthcare, childcare, taxes, and a few other basic necessities.
Pause. That's not true. Let me tell you what you need to take out of there. Healthcare and childcare. Guys, what's the average childcare cost before y'all say I made it up? Daycare. The national average of daycare is $11,500. They're saying that it ranges from $4,800 to $15,000. So the $4,800 I can tell you is those little home, like y'all don't know this person, but Big Mama and TT Emma lived in the neighborhood, and they watched kids all day while they ran their laundry business out the back. So she watched kids for $50 a week, and the $50, she had 7 kids there, and the older kids helped her with her business. I know. TT Emma went home to be with the Lord. I have a real TT Emma. She went home to be with the Lord, but she was running a business. Y'all ain't bosses. She had a laundry business. She had us in the house. She had us doing things, and I flipped it to where she was one of my clients when I had my lawn care business. You remember, the memes that were going around about the muumuu? She wore the muumuu all day and the bonnet on her head until she had to leave for the evening to go out to the matinee. This is language that Gen Alpha and Gen Z, y'all don't, and most millennials don't know about. You got to be Gen X or you got to be a Zennial to know about Big Mama and TT Emma, who watched you all day while your mama, you used to get dropped off to places with people depending on what was going on with you. If you were a sick child because there was no family leave and there was no paid time off or sick leave in the 80s and 70s, you used to have to go to somebody's house when you were sick. So they'd get you well, wrap you up in McKenna comb and vapor rub and get you back to health. Then you had another one that watched you after school. Then you had another one that watched you after daycare for the extended. They picked you up from one school, took you to another school, and took you to a house. That stuff was $50, $60. It is now $400 to $600 on average a week per child. So if you have a friend, right now, I'm talking to you, you have a friend who has 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids in daycare, you need to go help out on the weekend. You, single person with all this energy and time to be on the internet, you need to go watch their kids for them because you're going to save them something in babysitting or daycare costs. Don't spend the whole summer break, spring break, and fall break not being around their kids because now they got to take their kids out to go do the vacation. Help them out. I'm telling you, there was a video I did. Was it Reacts? It was Reacts at the beginning of the year. I was like, deliver me from all these men and women that never spend time with kids. You live in this selfish world where you don't know what it is and you got friends and you don't know nothing about their kids. This is why it's important. So where it says $100,000 or less per year buys basic needs, I believe that to be true. What's not on here? The new iPhone. What's not on here? It says transportation. The average cost of a car. What's the average cost? I love this. This is why I like to cook. New car cost in the US. There used to be a time when you can get a $97 down, $97 a month car payment. The dealers used to bring all the cars to the state fairground or bring them all the way to the mall parking lot. and they would not leave with those cars. They're like, these cars got to go. So where I'm from in Indianapolis, Ed Martin, Ray Skillman, Andy Moore, they used to do these big tent sales, and they put a tent in the parking lot, tent at the state fairground, tent at the Greenwood fairground and area, and people would go and they would buy a car. They would do it about 3 times a year. Tax time, they would do it back to school time, and they do it at the end of the year. The average price of a new car in the United States has been trending down, as it should. If you have not, go follow Car Edge. There's a father and son group. They give you all the data you need on when you want to buy a car new. I don't believe that any of you should be buying a car brand new because you can't afford it. You're not a multimillionaire. $44,000 a year. 44 for October of 23, 47 for March of 24, and now it's down back to 44. So inflation, the car dealers and the car manufacturers all took their unfair share of the market during COVID. There were no components to build new cars, so they sat on inventory, and they did markups after markups. If you have been living in the last 5 years and bought a car, you overpaid. Doesn't matter. So your best bet is to pay it off and to have it free and clear. And then you put insurance on it in case something happens to it, where you can get a similar car, or a couple of years newer. State Farm and all those guys have that new car replacement. So you'll get a newer car. If you got a 2019 and something happens to your car where it gets totaled out, they're going to pay you for the market value of a 2021. They're not going to pay you for 2025. That ain't how it works. They got to cover their losses. So $100,000 buys basic needs, but cars are expensive. So we talked about childcare, we talked about transportation, not to mention gas. Then after you get out of a couple years of a new car, you start having maintenance. Wear and tear happens, so you need new tires, you need new brakes around 36 to 40,000 miles. Then you got to do it again. Then you got to do it again. Then you got to replace the undercarriage, the struts, the sway bar, the shock. And then food is not even an accurate statement, because let me tell you what is the most expensive way to consume food: eating out. If you are eating out more than 3 times a month, you're not feeling this. You're feeling like $100,000 isn't enough. That's because when you go to a drive-through now and you hand them a 20, I know none of y'all carry cash, you're getting $4 and some change back. When you go to Chipotle and put down on the Chipotle bowl when you tap your car, it's $17. When you go to Olive Garden or insert new restaurant in South Nashville, you're dropping $150 for 2 people. For a family of 4, it could be $180 to $250. Excuse me, depending on what you got. So deliver me from $100,000 don't work. You don't work. Your lifestyle's too heavy. Let me go so I can.
Necessities.
It doesn't take into account anything extra. It's really just putting food on the table, putting a roof over your head, getting health care for your family. And so you're not saving for a rainy day if something happens to somebody or if they lose their job. So there's no extra in there for retirement, for kids' college. Those are the kinds of things that many people want to save for. Those are the many things that people consider a part of the American dream.
Only about 3% of those counties have a median income higher than the basic cost of living.
The idea behind the American dream hasn't really changed, even though lifestyles have. It used to be that you could get out of school, get a job, buy a home, and start a family, and now those milestones are harder to achieve.
It used to be that a high school degree, you're good to go. You could get a great job building cars or something and be right in the middle class off of a high school degree. But now, in order to get into the middle class,
we debunked this in the 80s and 90s. You had to graduate high school in the 80s and 90s. But what do we always say here? Men, you have to build a high value skill. How do you get high value skills? By either doing something. So if you're a man right now and you're 18, you got to decide if you want to take one of maybe 4 to 5 paths. The first is going to be military. If you have no plan and no structure, and you've grown up with no structure, and by the grace of God, you graduated high school and you came out unscathed, maybe with a little trauma, the military might be the best option for you. It's going to put you in a position to grow up to become a man quick, or it's going to spit you out. second would be trades. There are 3.5 million jobs that are trade related that have gone unfilled. And it's not because of what you guys are complaining about, which are the ghost jobs that you apply to on Indeed and LinkedIn that are white collar, laid back, I work from home jobs. No, these are HVAC technicians. These are apprenticeships programs for plumbing, for drywall, for carpentry, for construction, for low voltage to electric, to lawn care maintenance and lawn service, things that require a license and certifications in order to do it. Companies are giving $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 sign-on bonuses for people to take the job, and men, you guys aren't filling them. Why are you not filling them? Because you've been told for the last 30 years, and you've heard over the last 15 years or 18 years that going to college is the only way to achieve the American dream. Deliver me from that, because I know people who have been technicians for 40 years who have two homes in their home state. They have a home on the beach in Florida. They got property overseas, and they got boats because they've worked with their hands for 40 years. And they got things like a base pay, they join unions, they got overtime, they have a fully funded retirement and or a pension. And so as things went up, they didn't creep up their lifestyle. It wasn't highfalutin. It wasn't hoity-toity, the stuff that y'all really like. So 3.5 million jobs unopened, trade. So military, trade. The third is going to be college. And college has to be for a reason. What high value skill are you going to college to learn about? In the 2000s, they said, go to college to learn about yourself. That is the most expensive therapy session that you'll ever endure. But then what you end up finding is that when you go to college, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, I want to be an architect, I want to be a nurse, I want to be computer science, engineering, business. What did I miss? I know you're going to tell. Social work, counseling. Those are high value skills that the market will continue to need, because what I just talked about, military, trade, and those jobs are required for a society to move forward. All the rest of the stuff is fluff. Advertising, I've done it. PR, I've done it. Graphic design, I tried. Coding, I've tried. You really need engineers. And social sciences and all of these therapists, those are all luxuries. You can have a society that doesn't have those. You cannot have people who don't know how to be architects and engineers and designers and doctors and lawyers and business people to run business, to keep commerce and to keep the society moving. That's the three. And then if we want to talk the fourth, I will say first responder. And why is first responder important? Because you all have allowed the idea of a first responder to be bad. I'm in the security industry. We depend on our relationships with law enforcement to keep our clients' property safe. No one's going into police work. No one's going to work for the FBI. No one's going to work for Homeland Security. No one's going to work for Treasury. I remember all of those four coming to my college campus and begging and saying, y'all need to come over here. You can make $98,000 a year. And we didn't want to do it because we wanted to go do the soft skill jobs. Ambulance, EMT, firefighters. We need all those for society. So those are the four things that you need for a society to function, and not only function, but thrive. Go get those skills in those areas. And when you decide to go get those skills in those areas, you build the skill, and then you realize as you get 30, as you get 40, as you get 50, people are really awful. They're really not trying to do any major work. So
a high school degree is clearly not enough, right? Now you gotta pay for college.
People are graduating with much larger student loan balances, and then it's harder to be on that same sort of career trajectory that would provide the stability that you maybe would have had a generation ago to save up for the down payment on a home.
Student loan debt reached an all-time high of $1.77 trillion in the first quarter of 2023.
And that's what I'm talking about. You put everything on credit cards, guys. And the student loan was the biggest scam I say the government colluded in unwittingly. I don't think the government would say, hey, let's put everybody in debt. I think financial institutions said, hey, let's go put students in debt and let's get the government to back the loans. And let's get it so that it's never, you can't file for bankruptcy with it and it's never canceled. It's the only debt. You die, your student loan debt is still there. You die, your medical debt disappears. How's that fair to medical companies? How's that fair to you? How's that fair to your loved ones? But student loan debt is out of control. I mean, look at this number. 1.7 trillion. GDP of 1.7 trillion. That's 6.3% of the gross domestic product. The CBO is projecting that we'll have an average of 2 trillion per year. And the data supports it because you're seeing that people can't keep up with the need to spend, to live. And the answer is not socialism. Get that out of here.
3. This can have a ripple effect, especially when entire generations are starting their adulthoods with thousands of dollars in debt.
So when we think about the kinds of investments...
It was funny. I love our country. You can go protest. Cancel student debt in front of the Supreme Court because you want the Supreme Court to cancel your student debt. Here's the reality. Go get a job and go pay it off. You took the loan out. We're only talking $40,000, right? Don't let it creep to 60. We're only talking $100,000. Don't let it creep to 2. Go get a job, cut your lifestyle. I know this is a bad word. It's an R word. Go get you some roommates. You don't need to buy a house now because you have student loan debt. You don't need to buy a condo. You have student loan debt. Stop buying into the lie. Well, I need to start, investing in myself. No, you need to pay off your student loan debt because it's an anchor. It's weighing you down. Dave Ramsey says it best. You're keeping student loans around like pets in the other room. And they're just living there. Pay them off.
Generations are starting their adulthoods with thousands of dollars in debt.
So when we think about the kinds of investments you want to make for your children, the cost of college has gone up a lot faster than overall inflation. So trying to make those investments on a...
Guys, notice I don't say college fund, I say education. Because there are education vehicles if your children do not go to school because you do your job as a parent, which I say that's my job as a parent, to put them in position to start off life with the leg up versus where we did. It won't be, if they don't go to college, the money reverts. You could revert it or roll it over into a Roth IRA. You could roll it over into a brokerage account. Or you could put parameters in place where it pays to the family trust. So, and again, if you can't get out of your own way, men, you can't lead. So when you start talking about getting dating outcomes and you don't have this mindset, you're playing and you're wasting women's time. Because notice over here, we don't shame, insult, guilt, need to be right on what women need to do. We talk about what the men need to do because the men need to be the one running it. In the relationship. Why? I mean, ladies, go into the chat. I mean, ain't y'all tired of, ain't y'all exhausted? You're 35 years old. You've been running, and you meeting these men and they worthless. It's because they're not thinking like this. That's why I say 18 to 33, put your head down, get a high value skill, build knowledge, build a network, then put your head up at 33 and then start looking around. Men, stop looking at women at 22. You have nothing to offer.
Smaller and smaller paycheck compared to the cost of living can be very difficult and almost impossible. And so the kinds of debt that young people can rack up going to college gets larger and larger, and your ability to then make ends meet yourself, be able to buy a car, be able to move out of your parents' house, those things become much more difficult over time.
The American dream typically is people owning property and having children, but that's becoming largely inaccessible for many people. And even those who have attained these things are finding themselves managing every dollar coming in and out just to stay afloat. So that trade-off is underlying the new cost of the American dream.
Millennials and Gen Zers still want to buy homes despite feeling like they can't afford it. 62% of younger millennials and 63% of Gen Zers still say owning a home is part of the American dream.
Can I tell you? And I said this on a video, I think I said it on a live or a podcast I was on this summer. Homes were not for single people. You need to be in the city. Homes and communities for homes were for families. If you look at the modular design of a subdivision in the suburbs, it's designed for families in mind. Get in 1 or 2 roads in, 1 or 2 roads out, cul-de-sacs, playgrounds, pools, community parks, walking spaces. That's not for single people. Y'all need to be downtown at STK doing happy hour and reverse happy hour. Because that's all y'all can really afford based on the data. Don't be in there getting a full steak. You get the steak bites that are $12. And you get you a water and one $5 martini and you call it a night. And you only do that 3 times a month. Don't do it every night because you can't afford it. Stop running up credit cards for your parents. Stop running up credit cards for your grandmama. Stop getting sugar daddies and sugar mamas. And stop going to OF. Stop it. But homes were designed for families. That's why we see a trend where we have single people, specifically women in the US, saying they are selling their house. I am tired. I got to do everything at the house. I got to pay all the bills. I got to fix everything. I want an apartment. You're absolutely right. That's what you need. Because I don't need people in my neighborhood making it looking run down and disrepair.
66% of U.S. renters surveyed say rising prices leave them feeling hopeless about ever owning a home. 72% of respondents say they can't afford the down payment.
You can't. All right. So this is what I'm talking about with CNBC when I said it at the beginning. Because people be like, you're mean. $3.7 trillion. 1.7, 6% of the GDP. That's just ridiculous. CNBC switched the tone because it was talking about households and then it switched to individuals. The individuals won't be able to afford the down payment of a home because they are half of the average household income. Does that make sense? So if the household income is 80, they're on average making 40. There's no way in hell they're ever going to be able to afford a down payment on a house. So identify this thing. Your dating outcome and your relationship outcome is 100% within your control. You got to know who you are, what you want, what you qualify for, and with who you qualify for, know what they want from you. And I can just tell you men that women want homes and they want kids. Even though they tell you they don't want kids. I know they're saying that all on the internet and it's kid-free life. Somebody's going to have to come show me the data on that. Because what I see across communities across the board is that people still want families. But CNBC is trying to they're switching the talking point and they want to own the narrative that things are just too expensive for individuals when you don't acknowledge that these things were created for families. 72% can't afford the down payment.
17% of all home buyers said that saving for the down payment was the most difficult.
It would be if you're using that pie chart that we saw earlier, where 50% was for necessities and 30 was discretionary. You don't get 30 discretionary. That's your problem.
Task in the buying process, and 52% said student loan debt delayed their ability to save. The typical first-time homebuyer in
Go back to this statement right here, because you're talking to someone who's paid off their student loans. 52% say student loan debt delayed their ability to save. You're absolutely right. You want to know why? Because you can't beat interest of saving with interest against student loan. Remember the parallel and the dynamic I talked about with the wealthy. If your student loan is at 12.5% and your savings is at 0.01%, why would you save? You're losing money at a high rate and you're losing spending power by having this debt outstanding. That's why you need to pile up cash. And we talk about and we support you going to get a part-time job on the evenings and the weekends after you leave your job. If you're 22 and you got $40,000 in student loan debt, you need to stay with your parents, not have a new car, not go to Coachella, not go to Dubai, not go to Miami for fall break. You need to be working. Everybody's got hiring signs out. We just talked about the trades program. I did a video before where there was a reaction to Mike Rowe talking about the 3.5 million jobs. I said that that's going to be the new side hustle. You're going to see people going out and doing things like lawn care and electrical work and pest control because they can do it in a day and they can make $300 that day. Go back to their white collar job or their customer success job. But this is absolutely right. You can't even start a family with this. If you got a student loan debt that's sitting around and holding you back, it's going to be impossible for you to make decisions about your family because this is always going to be there.
Loan debt delayed their ability to save. The typical first-time homebuyer in 2022 had a household income of $95,900. Nationally, a prospective homebuyer would need a nearly $110,000 salary to afford the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payments on a median price home. But the median household income in the United States in 2022 was a little under $75,000.
Okay, man, you can't, CNBC, you can't add individual statistics along with household statistics to justify a household purchase. A house is a household purchase. It's not an individual's. Individuals shouldn't be buying houses. That's what no one's talking about. We got all these apartments going up, all these buildings going up, 2-bedroom, $3,800 a month. Split it. Y'all don't need to be living in a luxury pad. Go find something for $1,000 a month. Y'all got student loan debt. Y'all haven't saved for retirement. Y'all got credit cards out the wazoo. Like, seriously. Come on.
Dollars.
If you're born in a nice neighborhood in which your parents have lots of wealth and lots of income, your chances of doing well.
Hey, you know what? Next time I'm going to find something on Fox so you can see that I tear them up too.
Vastly improved. And part of that's home ownership.
Collectively, Americans owe $1.13 trillion on their credit cards.
Inflation, it's eroding people's purchasing power. It's reducing their ability to save for their future or invest in these long-term goals. So that loss of...
Personal testimony, inflation has rocked me. I made adjustments. Inflation hits everyone at every level, every socioeconomic stature, class, race, gender, everything. Inflation is real. It's an invisible hand that controls the cost of things, and you're not going to be able to run it through employment. You have to do more. And I know most employers want to, but we want you to get out of debt because we're tired of you coming to work stressed. We're tired of you coming here with an attitude. Serious.
Financial stability can create a sense of powerlessness and insecurity and contribute to feelings of uncertainty and vulnerability. It can really impact people's self-esteem, their resilience, their overall psychological health.
Economists have suggested that debt growth became a substitution for income growth. More than a quarter of Americans said that they are doom spending or spending money despite economic concerns.
There's also this idea that young adults are feeling more discouraged in their own financial standing. So in that way, they're less inclined to even save for long-term goals and more likely to just live in the moment. It's just sort of that mentality, like you only live once, I may not buy a home.
Yeah, now this is a problem. Society cannot stand up on this. Live in the moment, do what you want, because what happens, guys, there's a wealth transfer for that experience. It goes to the people who realize the market factors. Now, there are people who are profiting off of you for this. And shame on you for not recognizing it. It's 100%.
Anyway, so let's take that trip or let's go to that event, whether it's a Taylor Swift concert or other, big ticket item.
73% of Gen Zers say the current economy makes it difficult to set up long-term goals.
And it's not just about revenge spending. It's just about wanting to enjoy life and make the most of what you have, even if you can't necessarily buy that home or, you're not starting a family just yet and you really want to, feel good about yourself in the moment.
People are indulging to the extreme, and I think we often buy because we think that it's gonna change our life or it's gonna give us this emotion that we feel like we're missing, and it's like an endless trail of spending and constantly gonna make us feel empty because we're externalizing something that we need to give to ourselves. I think that's a big issue with consumerism, and it's running rampant.
Social media has changed the conversation so much because there's just been this abundance of the ability to see these glamorous, glorified lifestyles. It's not only only celebrities that are presenting themselves this way, but even your own peers, which makes a lot of people feel like they're just not measuring up. They can't financially compete with what they're seeing online.
It makes sense because the data supports that everybody online is just like you. So you see people living a life and you're like, oh, I can never do it. So y'all need to, that's why I say on this channel and in the book, get off social media for 6 months and watch your attitude and your behaviors change. Social media is pulling y'all down. The dating apps are pulling y'all down. Y'all are living in hopeless time emotionally when there's more hope and more opportunity than ever before in history. That's why I say doom scrolling just kills I get in trouble all the time. Did you see that post on Facebook or Instagram? No. Why? Because I'm recording videos for the two platforms and I don't really have time to sit up and look at them all day.
It has left a lot of people, especially young adults, feeling very discouraged in their own financial standing.
Y'all need Jesus.
Even if they're doing okay, they just may not feel that way when they compare themselves to what they're seeing on social media.
The question is, are you able, given kind of the luck of the birth lottery, are you able to have opportunities that are the same as those of people who may have been born into families that are in better circumstances than your own? The American dream is all about it shouldn't matter. The birth lottery shouldn't matter, right? So it's deeply relative.
I'm kind of over now. I'm kind of over it all. That is not helpful. Right. Because what ends up happening with CNBC is that people will say, yeah, CNBC did a report on this, and this is why I'm struggling. No, that's not why you're struggling. That's not why you're struggling. You're struggling because you haven't bought my book yet. Get to the money. Buy the book. It's available on Amazon. Part 1, Part 2, How to Get Great Dating Outcomes in a Modern World. We do this on this channel, guys, just to give you a flair for business. I mean, I love talking business. I love talking shop with anyone at any given time. But also how it impacts your relationships. If you don't get the economics right, man, you're not going to get a great dating outcome. Ladies, if you're dating struggle bus men, it's because they haven't figured out the economic piece. Put your head down. Get off of the social media apps. Get off the dating apps. Stop taking trips and being flued out. And get serious about life. How to Get Great Dating Outcomes, Parts 1 and 2, available on Amazon. Make sure you join us on the core 4 socials, plus X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And also, we do live streams every now and then. We just do a random one. It comes right from our website. So make sure that you're subscribed to receive all of that. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your time today. But I want to know what you think. Is $100,000 enough to afford the American dream? I'm your host. I am the author. I am the creator. I am Glenn. Have a great rest of your day. This has been TMG Reacts.